Hello, everyone, and welcome. Um, it's just such a surprise to see that this topic is so popular and so wanted. And I'm glad that tonight we get to address loneliness, which it feels like it's a global problem at the moment. So thank you for being here. By being here, you're actually part of the change. Now we're just going to allow more people to join. And as we do so, I invite you to share a bit about yourself in the chat. Hi, where are you from? Where are you tuning in from? Is this your first time? Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being on time. It's always a pleasure to host this kind of events. Um, and my intention is to share as much value as possible. Let me see. So we have Nice, Spain, Lisbon, Dublin. Hi, Jack. Hi, Mandy. Hi, Maria. Hi, Chris. Hi, Dashkin. Hi, Olivia. Hi, Leo. Hi, everyone. Hi from Berlin, Naila. Hi, Naila. Hi, Anne from Berlin as well. Beautiful. So, hi, Mikhail, Alexander, Rowan, Edinburgh. Beautiful. West London, Mika, first time from Finland, Dominic from UK. Beautiful. Wow, the chat is going so fast, guys. Thank you so much for joining. It's truly a pleasure to have all of you here. San Francisco, UK, Luxembourg. Wow, so we have a global crowd. And this tells me, just as I was saying, that loneliness is a global challenge. And thank you for being here. You are part of the change, either you know it or not. Okay, so we have few more people joining, and we will begin. Wow, so many from so many different countries. I see Italy, Romania. Hi, Alexandru. Hi, Anna Maria. Beautiful. Italy, Germany, Glasgow, Sweden. Oliver, originally from Romania. Hi, Oliver. Hassan from Pakistan. Bo from Shropshire, UK. Beautiful. Hi, Laura, Nottingham. Pascal from France. Camila from Argentina. Beautiful. Okay, guys. So let's begin our session. First of all, thank you so much for joining. It's wonderful to have you here. I'm truly grateful that you showed up. And as Sohail was just sharing in the chat, looks like the world is too alone. And my mission tonight is to help you understand your role in it and help you feel less alone. Because as you learn and as you work on your own loneliness and you understand your own patterns, what happens is you also, either you know it or not, you change the world around you. So first, because there's so many of us, I will kindly ask you to be kind, to share, to be gentle and to be patient. If something goes wrong, if the internet is not working, if there's any technical issue, okay? Please be considerate, and please make the most out of this session, okay? Now, the title is Loneliness is Not Your Fault, but It's Your Pattern. And my mission is to help you understand how that works, okay? Now, thank you for showing up. Thank you for working on your pattern. And that tells me that you are conscious that something's not going well. And if you've been surrounded by people and still feel alone, this session was made specifically for you. Now, drop in the chat if you've been surrounded by people, if you are surrounded by people, but you feel alone. So there are people in your life, however, you still feel alone. Okay? Now, some of you, yes, and some of you are just alone, and we will clarify the difference between that. Okay? Titi says disconnected. Beautiful. We're going to touch on this. Okay? So you can have friends, you can have colleagues, you can have social media, You can have conversations and still feel deeply alone. Okay. And I want to share a story about a client of mine, Sarah. So, Sarah came to me feeling deeply lonely. And Sarah was a high achiever. She had a beautiful life, a beautiful place to live in, very nice friends around apparently, right? She had acquaintances, she had co-workers. It seemed from the outside, she had a social media following as well. So from the outside, Sarah's life seemed fantastic. It seemed great. It felt like she was actually connected. But what happened is, Sarah, one night, after a very difficult day at work, wanted to talk to someone and wanted to share how she was feeling. She was really, really low and she wanted to share how she was feeling. So she pulled out her phone and she went through, she had around 200 contacts. She went through those contacts and she couldn't find one single person she felt safe with to share what she was going through. So she had a lot of people around her. She was very respectful, very connected, apparently. However, she had no one to share how her bad day went. And so when we looked at what was happening in her life, we discovered that she was running a pattern of protection that started way in her childhood that helped her stay safe by putting a wall around her life. So she was the one saying she's always fine. She was the one always helping people. She was the one always jumping and listening to other people's stories, but she was very guarded and she would never be vulnerable and share her stories. And in doing so and not being vulnerable, what was happening is that Sarah had no true friends. She had a lot of contacts. She was texting here and there and she seemed very connected. However, she didn't have pure connection. Now, share in the chat if this happened to you, if you have a lot of connections on social media, online, and so on, but when something bad happens or when you need true support, you feel like it's challenging to truly have someone to talk to. Yep. Okay. Lena says resonates. Dean, Lynn, Tracy. Yes, definitely. Yep. Okay. Okay. A lot of you can relate. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. Now, this is what happens. Connection is not proximity. So it's not about the number of people you have around you. Connection is nervous system safety. Who do you feel safe around, and how safe do you feel to allow other people in your internal life? And our internal lives are not all rainbows and sunshine, okay? Sometimes they're messy because we are messy human beings. And because we want to portray on the outside that we are perfect and everything is fine, what happens is we keep guarded what's happening inside. And in doing so, we also deprive ourselves from true connection. Now, loneliness doesn't mean you're socially broken. I really want you to take this in. So, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you for for feeling lonely. It usually means that your nervous system, somewhere along the way in your life, has learned to protect you. And the way it protects you sometimes is by keeping you away from people. And I will explain why that happens and how to break that. Now, I want you to be really honest and to share in the chat from 1 to 10 how disconnected you truly feel in your life right now. Where 0 is, I feel connected actually. I have a lot of people around me. I have meaningful relationships. And 10 is, I feel truly lonely, disconnected. I have no one to talk to. Let me know in the chat. Be open and vulnerable. We need this vulnerability. This is actually helping you open up and be human. Okay, let me see. No one. Deep connections, yes, but still, I think loneliness comes from not being able to find your person either, and that comes from having a wall up. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, I see a 5, 8, Sarah, Cheryl a 9, Alexander 8, Ernest 8, Caroline's 10, Rowan 8, Dan 9, Priya 6, Rick 11. Okay, so we need some attention. Everything that is above 5 needs some attention. Please pay extra attention to this session. It will help you a lot, okay? Ankur says 7, Paula 8, Florian 10,000. Florian, pay attention too. Lena 7, Mika 8, Chris 6, Oliver 7, Sana 4, Dean 5, Stu 4. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Very important for us to understand where we are right now, okay? Now, millions of people experience loneliness globally right now in this exact moment. So the latest statistics show that one in six people worldwide feel lonely. And I want you to think about including the people who seem to have a lot of social media following and doing very well and apparently being social butterflies. They feel lonely too. Now, what happens is that underneath that, most people believe that something is wrong with me. I should be better at this. Everyone else finds connection easier than me. Now, share in the chat if you believe one of this. What's your belief around this? What is your belief around this? Do you believe that something is wrong with you, that you should be better at this, that everyone else is just doing better than you? Because these beliefs are actually stopping you from finding meaningful connection. So we need to uncover them and we need to look at them with honesty, okay? So I'm seeing there's something wrong with me as I get social anxiety, says Lynn. Lynn, I will explain why that happens. Timothy says definitely the bottom two and partially the first. Thank you for that, Timothy. I appreciate your vulnerability, guys. This is actually how true connection is formed. Being open and admitting, hey, this is where I'm struggling and this is where I need some help. Chris says number 3. Alexander says just difficult to find moments to make new friends or more. Thank you for sharing that. Mishika says I'm not interesting enough. Okay. Now, just like Sarah, the example I shared, my client, she was amazingly interesting. However, she considered herself to be uninteresting. Okay. And because of that, she would never share anything from her life. And in doing so, she would block any opportunity for connection. Now, I want you to hear me out. Loneliness is not a personality problem. So there's nothing wrong with your specific personality because you cannot find friends or you cannot form relationships. It's a pattern, okay? And the pattern is something that you saved in your system as your default when it comes to relating to other human beings, okay? Now, the beautiful part with patterns is that they can be changed. Now, our journey together today, we are going to explore loneliness and to see what this loneliness actually is. I'm going to share with you 3 hidden patterns that actually keep you away from connection, and you might experience 1, 2, or all 3 of them. And I'm going to guide you through what I call a scene moment. Now, in this scene moment, I will help you connect to the feeling of real connection so that we can bring back online how it feels to be genuinely connected and seen and appreciated by people. Because your nervous system needs that memory back online so that then it can recreate it once again. Now, I've been on this journey for so many years and I have gone through the struggles because my journey involved constant growth. And if you know, every single time you grow and you are surrounded by people who have a different pace or who choose not to grow, which is perfectly fine, there will be some differences in how you relate, in perspectives, in boundaries. And so growth sometimes can be a lonely road. So it took me a while to understand my own personal patterns because as I was speeding up on my growth journey, I realized that nobody was keeping up with me. And so I had to create consciously new connections to look at my patterns and update them so that I can create meaningful connections as I continue my journey at my own speed. Now, I want you to share in the chat if you've ever felt lonely, even when around people. So let's say you have friends or someone around and you go out, but you still feel alone, even if you are with them. Okay, I see a lot of yeses. Yep, yep. Okay, now the problem is not you're not, so sometimes it can be you're not meeting enough people if you are not going out, right? But the problem most of the times, it's not the fact that you are not meeting enough people. It's not that you are not being interesting enough, because every single human being on this planet has something interesting to say for another human being. We all can learn from each other if we are open to do so. Now, the problem is not that you are not trying hard enough. The problem is that your connection blueprint was built in the past. So, the way you relate to other people, the way you form friendships, the way you form relationships right now, that's your connection blueprint. And your connection blueprint has been built in the past. You are mirroring how other people in the past from your life, it can be mom, dad, neighbors, at school, people in your environment, however they demonstrated their connection blueprint, imagine you took that and you copy pasted it into today's world. And so if something is not working, that might be a connection blueprint that needs some updates, okay? What happens is that once we learn to behave in a certain way, our nervous system repeats it as if it's our own, okay? And that's where the struggle comes. Now, when we are alone, so I want to help you understand this distinction. When you are alone, that's your physical state, okay? You are alone, there's nobody around, no human being around you, okay? That means being alone, okay? Now, another one is being disconnected. Now, being disconnected means you can be around other people. However, inside, your emotional state is feeling alone, okay? So being alone, you're just by yourself. Feeling alone, you have a lot of people around, but your emotional state cannot connect to what's happening around you, okay? Does that resonate? Let me know in the chat. I want to make sure we are on the same page, okay? All right. Now, so just imagine being alone. You can travel solo, feel completely fulfilled, and you are alone, but you feel connected to yourself, to the environment, and so on. And on the flip side, you can be with friends and feel invisible. And maybe you're scrolling on your phone, you're looking around, you cannot find something to say in the conversation, you don't feel like they care about you, and so on. Now, what's the difference here? Is the safety to be seen, okay? Sonia says, I think it might be from childhood neglect, okay? Yeah, trauma can contribute to that as well. And that's another deep story there. Now, I want you to share in the chat, where do you feel most disconnected? Where do you feel most alone? Is it in group settings? Is it when it comes to dating? Is it in friendships? Is it in your family? That can happen too. Let me know, where do you feel most disconnected? Okay. Wow, a lot of you everywhere. Okay. Now, guys, I also want you to look at the chat just to validate your experience. Can you see that you are not the only one? Can you see how many of you are experiencing all of them? Okay. And this is just to share that we are here as humanity having these struggles. And this is a conversation we must have. Okay. Wow, so a lot of you with four, and some of you with different either group setting, dating, family, friends. So well done for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I really want you to take a close look at this loneliness loop. This will help you understand what's actually happening underneath the surface, okay? So Let me know in the chat first if you guys truly want connection. Yes or no in the chat. If you want connection. Okay? Of course. Yes, 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 yes. 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 A lot of you. Yes. 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 Great. Okay. So just checking because we need to want connection so that we can escape this loneliness pattern. Okay. Now what happens is we all want connection. At the basic level, we all want connection. But inside of us, we feel uncertain, right? So let's take the example of you like someone, you want to approach them, but you don't feel safe. You feel like they might reject you, they might make fun of you, or you may want to be vulnerable, but you don't know how that will be received. And then you hold yourself back. That's where the guard appears. You hold yourself back, you don't say your truth, you don't say your vulnerability, and you keep talking about the weather. You keep talking about basic stuff, right? And that keeps a connection at surface level. Now, when there's no real intimacy, where there's just conversations about the weather, what you did yesterday, what you ate, what movie you're watching, that is surface level connection. When people open up about their struggles, what's not working in their lives, maybe they're experiencing an illness, maybe they have someone in their family that has a struggle, that's when connection deepens, right? But most of us, now share in the chat, do you keep conversations surface level or do you feel safe to share yourself out? Let me know in the chat. What is your experience? I want to know your experience. Okay? Okay, mostly surface level. Some of you overshare. That's okay too. Okay, surface. Okay, sometime. Okay, okay. So I can see that some of you also struggle with oversharing. So oversharing, there's another conversation with oversharing as well, because what happens there, we cannot force connection to deepen by oversharing. Why? Because when we share, connection happens in layers, right? So we share a nugget today, we share a different nugget tomorrow, we share a different nugget the next day, we build connection. We pour all our history or our traumas in one conversation, that person runs. Why? Because we literally trauma dumped on them and they were not ready. There was not enough intimacy for them to take in that conversation. So oversharing is also a challenge that actually, instead of deepening connection, it actually pulls it away because connection happens in layers through consistency. And when we overshare, we're literally dumping 1 month material in one conversation on someone that might not be ready to take that whole conversation. So it's a two-way street, it's a dance, and we need to balance that dance, okay? Now, what happens is when we overshare or when we don't share and only keep it surface level, loneliness increases. And we continue to want connection, but then having the feedback that we didn't connect last time or we overshared and that was not well received, now we are again feeling uncertain. We hold ourselves back. Now connection stays level, surface level, and then loneliness increases. And this goes on and on and on. Now share in the chat if this resonates with you, even if just a little. Let me know. Yep. Fantastic. Okay. I need you to get this because once you get this, you understand what's happening behind the surface in your interactions. Now, I want you to look at yourself right now and to share in the chat which part of the cycle do you recognize most? Is it you're holding yourself back? Is it you are keeping surface conversations? Do you have a fear of rejection? So you rather not open the conversation, not share, not invite, not take a first move? Do you feel invisible? Which one is it? that you recognize most? Okay, A, B, C, D. I love you guys. You are so vulnerable, okay? You have to practice the same vulnerability with other people too. Beautiful. But in small doses. Okay, C and D, invisible, mixed bag of them. Okay, now without awareness, we cannot change any of this. So, you sharing all of this, big vulnerability step that I honor you for. Okay, so well done. Now, I'm going to share with you the hidden patterns behind this and what's actually keeping you stuck. Okay, now one of them is the self protection pattern. Now, the self protection pattern, this is where we armor up. This is where you learned early that being yourself was not safe, that being vulnerable had consequences, so you adapted. And I'll just give you a very simple example. Just think about being at school, right? So you're trying to be yourself, maybe you're loud, and you were shut down, or maybe you were punished for that. And now you learned that your opinion is not worth sharing, let's say. You went home and you were very vulnerable and shared with your parents that maybe you were not nice during the class at school. And then instead of just honoring your experience, maybe they punished you as well. And so you learned at an early age that being vulnerable, it's not safe. And so when these experiences happen to us, we learned that being fully ourselves, sharing freely, and being vulnerable has negative consequences. And then we learn to hold back. And how do we hold back? So instead of being fully ourselves, we now censor parts of us and we keep it polite. We talk about the weather. We don't share much. We don't take the first step because it's not safe. And in doing so, we keep ourselves away from what we actually crave, okay? Now, I want you to share if this resonates with you. Let me know if this resonates with you, okay? I see a lot of you, it resonates. Beautiful, okay? Great. Now, what happens when this happens to us at an early age? We become agreeable. So you listen to what other people say and you say, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree, right? You become interesting, or you try to be interesting. You become helpful. So you are there, you want to help other people, you want to solve their problems, and you're trying to be funny, but you don't allow to be fully seen, okay? You don't allow yourself to be fully seen as a messy human being that you are. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself and share again in the chat. This is a safe space. I want you to share in the chat, what part of you do you hide socially? Is there any specific part of you that you hide? Maybe your struggles. Maybe is there anything in you? Matthew says, I just have little to say. Awkwardness, my goofy side. Joshua, your goofy side may be just what people need to connect with you. Okay? Lisa says childhood trauma. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. Now, that's so when it comes to trauma, guys, this is very important because most of us have been through some kind of trauma, and we need to understand that that is something that we can share once the connection deepens. So trauma is not something that we share with the first people, or at the first date, or someone you want to be friends with after one coffee together, right? So connection goes deeper in layers, and it doesn't happen all at once, okay? So it needs a bit of patience. It needs a bit of patience, okay? You need to take it gently. That helps a lot, okay? Thank you for sharing, guys. Now, the second pattern, very important, misaligned people pattern. Now, when you don't know who you are internally, you attract people based on convenience, based on proximity, and based on your old identity and not alignment. And I want you to think about this. So we grow up, we have certain people around us in high school, certain people around us at uni, certain people around us at our job, some neighbors, but those are people that come through convenience, okay? And proximity. So they are around due to life circumstances. And that doesn't mean necessarily that they are aligned with who we are, okay? And so you have friendships with those people, but it feels draining. Either give and take is not balanced, after either boundaries or something is off. Let me know if you're experiencing, you have some people, but they feel draining in your life. Let me know in the chat if you are experiencing this. Okay? Rati said only misaligned. Okay, Rati, that means that you are in a place where it's time to change and find some new people. Okay? Thank you for sharing that, guys. Now, I just want you to share in the chat if you feel like you have outgrown your friendships recently. Share in the chat if you feel like you have outgrown your friendships recently. Okay? Some of you, yes, some of you, no. Um, okay. Yeah. So some of you shared. So outgrowing means when you realize that you actually don't have much in common. Okay. So you had at some point in your life something in common that brought you together, and you feel like now there's not much that keeps you connected. Olivia said, I cut toxic people out of my life. So when you are an old version of yourself, let's say, when you don't have boundaries, you tolerate a lot just because you don't want to be alone, you will attract people that are there to take, that are happy that you don't have boundaries. Now, once you work on yourself, you put boundaries on, you want reciprocity, you want connection, and you don't get that, that means you have outgrown that friendship and it's time to find new people. Okay? Thank you for sharing that and being so vulnerable. Okay? Now, toxic people and cutting toxic people, because I see a lot of you resonate with that. That means that you are outgrowing your environment, okay? Now, when this happens and you say no to toxic people, you now are open to new people, new connections in your life, okay? And that must, sometimes it feels lonely because there's some in between space where toxic people go out of your life and you are here having more clarity than ever, and new people haven't arrived yet. So that stage sometimes feels confusing, but that's not the sentence. That's just the transition period, okay? Now, hidden pattern number 3 is the nervous system pattern, okay? Now, connection requires safety signals, okay? Drop a yes in the chat if you get this. So we feel connected when we feel safe with people. If we don't feel safe with people, we don't feel connection, okay? So your nervous system, if it doesn't register, that person is safe for me, doesn't want to connect. Even if on paper that person looks perfect, okay? So they may look perfect, they may have a great following on social media. However, if you don't feel safe, if you internally feel like something is off here, your nervous system, your body says, no, keep me away from this person, okay? Now, if your nervous system expects judgment from that person, rejection, misunderstanding, your nervous system automatically rejects that. Now, here's the problem. We learned at an early age, again, that being ourselves and being honest and exposing ourselves sometimes comes with judgment, right? Just imagine doing something not maybe not true appropriate at school, right? it came with judgment, it came with punishment, it came with something that was not necessarily positive. Now, think about you inviting someone you liked for a coffee and they said no. Your nervous system understood that sometimes inviting people is not safe because you get a rejection. Now, share in the chat if rejection is positive or negative in your body. Let me know how you experience rejection in your body. Is that a positive experience or a negative one? Okay? Negative, 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 negative. Yeah. Okay. And so we, as from a nervous system perspective, we are chasing pleasure and trying to avoid pain. And so if rejection feels like pain, taking steps towards connection doesn't feel safe. Let me know in the chat if this makes sense to you. Okay. So if your body doesn't feel safe to ask someone for a coffee because it fears rejection, which is negative, it will struggle to take the necessary steps to do that. Okay? Great. Now, when this happens, okay, when we don't feel safe, we fear judgment, we fear rejection, we feel that we will be misunderstood. What we do unconsciously is we withdraw. So instead of taking steps ahead to improve that connection, we take a step back. Okay? Now, another thing we do unconsciously is we overperform. And oversharing sometimes enters this category. We want to impress that person, so we feel that they're judging us, they're rejecting us, they're misunderstanding us, and we feel like overperforming in a sense, let me demonstrate to you that I'm actually better than you think, right? And when we do this, we enter performer mode, not connection mode, okay? And when we feel like we are being judged, again, most people, what they do is they avoid deeper conversations that create connection because they feel like if they will share, they will be rejected, okay? Now, let me know if this resonates with you and if you have gone through this. If you have noticed yourself redrawing, overperforming, avoiding deeper conversations, let me know what was your experience. What was your experience? Okay, Maria says withdrawing. Yeah, withdraw. Okay. Okay, both avoid, withdraw, withdraw, withdraw. I overshare, overthink, over everything. Okay, withdraw, overperform, three, all of them. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Sonia, all of the above. Thank you for sharing that. Now, here's the truth. Loneliness, it's not solved by forcing yourself socially, okay? It's not solved by more networking. It's not solved by pretending to be confident, okay? Why? Because you signal with your energy the same that people signal to you. Either you are feeling safe or either you are feeling agitated, fearful. That is what you put out. And when you put out a signal that's also negative and wobbly, that's what people receive from you. And if they don't feel safe, will they open up to you? Yes or no? They won't, right? Because every single human being searching for connection, they want one thing. They want someone to feel safe with. Okay? So the shift happens when you change your internal connection blueprint. Okay? Now, let me ask you this, and I want you again to be very honest and just to be vulnerable and share in the chat. If you, with your relationship change, if you felt fully safe to be yourself, do you think that feeling fully safe to be yourself without fearing judgment, without fearing rejection, without fearing being misunderstood, you just allow yourself to be this imperfect human being that you are? Do you think that you feel fully safe to be yourself? Okay, I see a lot of yeses. Yes, 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 maybe. Most definitely. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, things will change. So when you feel safe, people feel safe, connection is safe. When one of you doesn't feel safe, there's some friction happening and connection is not happening. Okay. Now, I want to give you the connection blueprint because real connection requires three elements. Okay. And as we go through them, I want you to be honest with yourself and check in with yourself where you might need to do some work. Okay. Now, the real connection requires first self connection, knowing yourself, and most importantly, feeling safe within yourself first. Why? Because people feel how you feel inside. So if you go to meet someone but you don't like yourself, you don't believe you're valuable, you don't think you are a good person, you don't think you're someone worth talking to, do you think that person will feel safe to connect with you? Yes or no? Share in the chat. People feel how you feel inside. Everyone picks up on other people's energy. Okay? Most of the time it's a no, right? Because if you don't like yourself, people pick up on that energy. Now, the second thing is safety. And safety means feeling regulated around others. Now, feeling regulated, what does that mean? Feeling regulated means I am calm, I know who I am. If they reject me, it's okay. If they don't like what I have to say, it's okay. I just know who I am and I'm here because I want connection. And I know as a human being that I won't resonate with everyone. And that is okay. And so people are rude, you are calm and regulated. People are nice, you are calm and regulated. People are mean, you are kind and regulated. People reject you, you are calm and regulated. Okay? Now, when you have safety inside of you, the world is not as scary as it seems, and connection doesn't feel as painful. Let me know in the chat if this makes sense for you. Okay? Yep, great. Now, the third one is resonance. Okay? Now, when you have also resonance, which is you share your values, you have similar values, and you have similar energy. So if you are a giver, they give too. If you are in a good mood most of the time, they're in a good mood most of the time. If you I don't know, value honesty and vulnerability, they value honesty and vulnerability. Why? Because this creates resonance in between you two, and that's how connection can form. Now, when you miss any of this, so let's say you are not connected to yourself, okay? You're trying to escape yourself, and that's why you want to meet other people, okay? You don't know who you are. You don't know how you feel about yourself truly, okay? You don't know what you value in a connection. That's when you will struggle. Now, if you don't feel safe within yourself, again, we explored. If you don't feel safe within yourself, people pick up on that and people want connection with people that makes them feel safe. And if you don't feel safe, that connection can happen, but most of the time it stays surface level, okay? And then resonance. So when you have shared values, shared energy, connection happens naturally. When there's a mismatch, again, you can still have connection, but that's when you feel that something is off, okay? So real connection truly needs all three of them. Now, I want you to check in with yourself right now and tell me which one is the weakest for you right now. Do you feel like you need to work on your connection with yourself? Do you feel like you need more safety within yourself to regulate yourself, to be calm within yourself? Or do you feel like you need to be more aware of people's resonance? Do you need to allow resonance to give a bit of attention to resonance? Okay, all right. I'm looking a lot of resonance. Okay, connection with self, yeah, safety, emotional regulation, resonance, okay, inner child was not safe, very important one. So when the inner child doesn't feel safe within, does it project safety or the feeling of unsafety? If the inner child inside doesn't feel safe, that means that people are picking up on safety or not. They cannot pick up on something that you don't have inside, right? And so the first focus is not to let me connect to other people so I can escape my inner child needs, is let me listen to my inner child so that I can heal my inner child and then create meaningful connection from a place of safety, okay? Now, I'm going to guide you in a moment through a scene moment. This is going to be 5-7 minutes max. Is no music on the background. Why? Because I want you to be with yourself and be okay with that, okay? We are also working a bit at the self-connection bit, okay? So all I want you to do is to have your back straight, your feet flat on the floor, okay? And I want you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. Close your eyes and just allow yourself to receive. Take a nice deep breath in and a long exhale out. Once again, deep breath in and a long exhale out. Just allow yourself to land in this present moment. One more time, deep breath in and a long exhale out. Beautiful. Now, from this place, I want you to imagine and to acknowledge that many people that experience loneliness start believing something very dangerous. That connection just doesn't happen for them. But the truth is, your nervous system already knows what connection feels like. Sometimes we've just forgotten the memory. So for the next minute, if you feel comfortable, keep your eyes closed. Take one more slow breath in through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. I want you to think about the moment in your life where you felt genuinely seen, not judged, not performing, just accepted. It might have been with a friend, a family member, a teacher, a partner, or even a brief moment with someone who really understood you. Notice where you were. Notice who was there. What did their presence feel like? Did you feel relaxed? Did you feel safe? Did you feel like you could just be yourself? Let that memory come into your body and notice how it feels in your chest. Notice how your breathing changes, because this is important. Your nervous system remembers true connection, which means connection is not something you have to invent. It's something you can relearn and rebuild. Now, from this place, I want you to look at your old identity. There must be a story there where you tell yourself a specific story. And I want you to identify the story you tell yourself about who you are in connections. A good example of this is believing that you are just not good socially or that you are always the outsider. Allow your brain to bring that to the surface. When you repeat a sentence like that long enough, your brain starts believing it as fact. But what if the story is wrong? What if the real story is this? You are not someone who struggles with connection. You are someone who hasn't learned your connection blueprint yet. Now take a nice deep breath in and a long exhale out. And I want you to imagine it's 1 year from now. And something has changed in your life. You started building real connection, not forced conversations, but genuine belonging. Picture a moment in that future. Maybe you're sitting at a table with a few people who truly understand you. You're laughing, you're relaxed, you are not editing yourself. You're not wondering if you're too much or enough. You are simply being yourself. Maybe you have 2 or 3 people you could call if you need support. And they will genuinely show up. Notice how your body feels in that reality. Notice how your shoulders feel. Notice how your breathing changes. Because belonging changes everything. It changes your confidence, your mental health, your energy, your sense of purpose. And that future is not created by luck. It's created by understanding how connection actually works. Take a nice deep breath in and a long exhale out. Gently wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, you can slowly come back and open your eyes and let me know in the chat what was your experience. If you managed to connect, even if a little bit, did you manage to connect? Okay. Aravid says a good one. Great. So relaxing, nostalgic, relieved, very calming, really good. Okay. Now, not all of you managed to connect, and that's okay. Okay. Beautiful. Connection with grandma. Bo says it was powerful. I'm sorry I made you cry. I hoped it helped you connect with a feeling of connection. Bandy says has given me hope. Beautiful. Oh, bless. Benny says my muscles relaxed. Ziad says I connected with myself. Felt like I time traveled. A tiny bit, says Lucas. That's okay. Now, every single one of you got whatever they needed so that your system remembers true connection again. Nikita says, I remember my old childhood friend. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Thank you guys for being so vulnerable. Now, I want you to take this in, okay? Loneliness is not a proof that you are broken. It's a signal, okay? It's telling you that you need to make some adjustments. And now you understand the patterns that are running behind the scenes, okay? Your system is ready for deeper connections, for deeper belonging, and that's what your system is signaling. Your next chapter from everything you shared just means you need different connections, okay? Now, I want you to share in the chat what kind of people do you want in your life right now? Especially right now, after imagining being 1 year from now and having those beautiful connections. What kind of people you want around you? Matthew says fun, safe, who won't judge me. Mateo, people who are kind. Rati, positive and non-judgmental. Appreciative people. A partner, says Ziad. Calm and warm people. Emotionally mature, says Kay. Someone I can be my complete self. Non-judgmental. That repeats quite a lot. Beautiful. Non-toxic people. Reciprocal, safe, kind, that have depth as fee. Beautiful. Vulnerable and real. Unafraid. Humble people. Beautiful. So we need to know what kind of people we want in our life, because I'm here to tell you, you from a place of power get to choose the people you select in your life, okay? Now, here are the typical advices. Go to more events, join clubs, message people, put yourself out there, right? Let me know in the chat if you got this advice. Most of the time, that's what people tell you. Oh, just do these things and you'll be fine, right? One thing I want to signal, and the reason why connection doesn't stick, is because we need to build internal safety first. Your system stays guarded when it doesn't feel safe to open up, okay? So when your system doesn't feel safe to open up, I just want you to imagine that it puts a wall in between, and that stays in the way of connection. And that's why connection never deepens, okay? Now, real connection comes from rewiring your identity, your nervous system, your relational patterns. And this is what we do in the deeper work. So, all these relation patterns you have come from your whole lifetime on this planet Earth and have been from your childhood mostly and have been embedded in your system. All these patterns we discussed today. Now, I just want you to share if you would like to build real connection instead of repeating the same patterns over and over again. Let me know in the chat if that would be a good idea. Let me know if this is something that you would like, okay? You need to express that. You need to put that out there if you are tired of repeating the same patterns. Now, today we uncovered something important, that loneliness is not random. It follows a pattern, okay? And the pattern is normally coming from childhood. It's very, very old, and it just needs some attention. Now, once you see the pattern as you did today, you can change it. Insight is the first step, expanding awareness, understanding what's happening, understanding what's blocking us. Patterns change when we work with them deeper, okay? Because those patterns are embedded in your subconscious mind. And so this takes deeper work. If you feel like this session sparked something in you, if you feel like it resonated, if you feel like you are committed to making a change, this is an invitation to the connection code that is happening this weekend from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. And this connection code is created to give you the internal shift you need to feel safe and generate safety in relationship. It's a 2-hour immersive experience, and it's literally the last intensive immersive experiencing I'm holding. The next ones will be recorded. So it's a great opportunity to connect in this space. I can coach you directly on your unique challenges. We have more space to connect, and I can answer more questions. We don't talk about connection in this session. We literally rebuild your connection blueprint from what you need. What you'll discover in this session is your personal loneliness pattern, how to attract aligned friendships anywhere, how to stop overthinking socially, how to create depth without oversharing, and how to stop being the one reaching out always. Now, inside the immersion, we work with pattern identification. We see what patterns are running on your specific situation. We do live exercises that help you transform these patterns. We do nervous system safety practices so that your whole nervous system gets an upgrade. We do a social confidence reset, and we literally shift your perspective on social interactions, and you live with a connection building framework. Now, the investment for this one is $49.99, and it's meant to help you shift at the root cause. So, whatever is causing the loneliness right now, this is where I can help you immersively support you transform that. Okay, it includes a guided workbook. It will help you identify what's holding you back right now, some deeper exercises, and also the replay so that you can do the session again at your own pace. Now, there are limited spots for this one. I will share the link in the chat. If this resonates and you feel like this will be helpful for you, you can go check it out. I'll be honored to have you on this journey. If today's session helped understand your loneliness pattern, this immersion is where we actually shift it from the root. This is deep work that I'm honored that I get to do with people. And if you feel like this is something you need, I would say give yourself this gift. That version of you that you saw 1 year from now will be very grateful that you gave yourself the opportunity to break free from these patterns that are holding you back right now. And now I want you to imagine feeling deeply connected a year from now. I truly want you to imagine how that feels in your body. How valuable would that be for you? That's the journey we begin inside the immersion. This is the foundation we set today. In the immersion is where we go deeper and heal the root. If this resonated, I'm looking forward to seeing you inside and to help you and guide you. Massive thank you for showing up. Massive thank you for playing full out. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for being so open, honest, vulnerable. Thank you for playing full out. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Truly grateful I had all of you here. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Moto. Thank you, Angelica. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Stu. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, George. Thank you, Matteo. Thank you, James. Not sure if James is that James Clear who wrote that book, but thank you, James, for being here. Thank you, Fee. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you, Ankush. Thank you, Yulia. Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Matteo. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alexandru. Glad to know it was useful. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Pia. Thank you, A. Thank you, Maria. Thanks, Diana. Thank you, Mandy. Thanks, Annie. Thank you, Erika. Thanks, Hinder. Thanks, Susanna. Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, Andrea. Thanks, Sophie. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dihor. Thank you, Rati. Thank you, Audrey. Leo is making a joke. Thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Jörg. Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Hedy. Thank you, Jazz. Thank you, Vicky. Glad to know it was good. Thank you, Bia. Thanks, Ben. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed evening.